Sergeyevich? I don't know what to do with that second E there. Anyway, 10-5 as always. Ooh, it's Sicilian. I don't know what you're supposed to play against that, but I'll just develop a knight and then go here, right? That seems fine. Thought you usually play the knight first? Hmm. Here, here, here? Is that something? I don't know. Why don't I go with this so I can have a pawn in the center instead of a knight? It blocks this knight, but now here is defended sufficiently. Okay, they're just going to play a bunch of pawn moves, huh? Okay. Fine. So this is not quite as well defended as I would have liked, but don't I have like this? If you want to in between or take, that's fine. Now if I want, I can blow up your castling. You can do this and blow up my king side in exchange. But I get to develop my bishop? Well, not really. You just go here after I check. I feel like this has got to be good. It's worth losing my kingside structure a bit, I think. Like, I'm not prepared for this to happen either. Then I'm just in real trouble. I lose my kingside and I can't castle the other side. Ah, of course. I don't lose my king. This whole thing is fine because I just get out of here. The knight is no longer pinned this way, and we're threatening this, which is insane. Oh my god, I'm so good at this game. Um, I want that bishop to leave. Can I make him leave? What about here? Takes is like fine. And if they don't do that, then I can pick up the bishop. Well, trade for it, but then I get this, so that's fine. So it's like, am I willing to just? Yeah, I love doing this. This develops, and it kind of comes with tempo because they sort of have to do this, I think. And it gets me ready to castle. Meanwhile, like, they have no pieces developed at all because they're about to undevelop this bishop by trading it with mine. An interesting move they might try would be this, I guess. Then I take here and they get my knight. I don't end up going up material, and they get some center control. But I'm up the bishop pair, which I think is also fine. And I can always renew this threat. Can't I? Oh, especially now that they've gone here. Because one thing they had against it was to try and defend the spot like so. They can't do that anymore. So if I go here, you kind of have to move the king or the rook, right? You could try this, pinning the knight. But they say they do this. The natural thing to do would be here, here. Fine, you'll blow up their structure, but now you can't get a knight here anymore. So I think I should just do this. If they want the pawn, like, go for it. I'll take a pawn and a rook. If they instead, say, move the king here, then I can, like, defend the pawn at that time. Or, you know what? Castling, like, must be good right now, right? Maybe this is just a little far, like, Well, okay, not right now, because we dropped the pawn, but here first, here... Hmm. I feel like this is a fun threat. Okay. So they're not going to do something like lose this, but it gets their king even more out in the open. And we just develop a knight peacefully here to hang on to this. Oh, I am thrilled. My knight is, like, kind of in danger already anyway. I'm pretty sure I'm happy to get rid of him. He's not easy to defend. I guess I could do this. This is actually bad because here, right? Or there's something bad that happens after this. I don't know if it's takes, takes, takes. Yeah, that's probably what it is. That seems the most forcing. So takes seems like the way to go. And then castle. And then I'm not sure. Maybe push f3. Maybe try to do something with the bishop. f3 is kind of nice, I think, because it lets me move the knight to unleash the bishop. But maybe here is a better way to develop it anyway. And the way I want to defend this pawn is more like castles, rook here. Oh, my pawn was like disconnected? I didn't notice how long they were disconnected. I saw them reconnect. Ooh, okay. King takes is a bit of a surprise. It maintains the tension here, but it exposes the king to attacks along this file, which is exciting. I don't have any such attacks yet, but I'm not far away. I wasn't sad about playing this move anyway. The fact that you're attacking my pawn just means I get to play it without having to spend a tempo on it. Okay, we're attacking here, which combined with the knight could be an issue. I feel like I don't even want to let them make this sack. I don't want my king to be bothered. So I think we just play here. Stop it. Stop it before it can happen. And this is still a lovely place for my king to live. Exposed only along a light square diagonal, which they can't ever take advantage of. All right. I don't really mind. This looks pretty cool. Because then we'd have something like this, discovering an attack on the pinned bishop. We could try this first and hope to maybe get this rook involved somehow so that I don't lose control of this, but I'm not too concerned about it. Um, yeah, that's true. I am in check at this time, but I'm okay living here. It gets you out of the tactic anyway, right? Oh, no, it doesn't. Not if you do that next. Here is fine. Um, here defends the bishop. Can I do something about that? I mean, I could trade, but then this pawn is hanging a bit. Well, it's not. They just They can trade for a knight, I guess. Here. Trade their bishop for my knight? I guess it's okay. Oh, or I could go here? Which is like, check and keeps the knight alive and puts it on a great post, right? Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we get the trade, but my rook gets improved as compared to if I'd just taken the bishop myself. It's a great rook, I think. I don't know, it's a little vulnerable right now. Here? What's the downside of this? I don't think there is one. It exposes this. I really don't want to take here because that gives them the file for like no good reason. Whereas this contests it in a way that it's hard for them to fight. And now this bishop is a monster, right? Like this is my strongest square. I want every piece I own to live on this square at the same time, if possible. um, they just advanced enough pawns they can never attack it. What's the weakest spot in my position? I don't know. It's looking pretty good, honestly. I guess if they could get all the way here, I would be sad. All right, but now it gets like more technical, where I'm supposed to figure out what to do with all my dang pawns, and I don't know that. I can do this and break apart their pawn structure a bit. Seems probably good, even though it loses this square. It doesn't lose the square, it just means I have to do something else to control it. Now they're like thinking of stuff like this, I suppose. But I think here is okay. Or actually, here is probably better. This is defended by my king, and as long as I prevent this, I don't have to defend it a second time. Yeah, no entry for rooks. This controls the rook's 2 entry squares. And if they try to do something like this, you know, I think that's fine. And I can come up here to defend. This is like a very useful pawn structure in general. Pretty sure I want to plant a rook here. It's like uncontestable. But pretty soon I have to start making my own pawn moves. And I never know quite where to insert the break to create some advantage, to like make use of my advantage, that is. Here? That drops this pawn. Which is why I think we want to do this first. Yeah, try working on this. Because if I can take that, then I'll have a passer on the A file. H file. And the rook will still be kept out. That's interesting. Now oops, here drops this. But now I can kind of afford here, which would be fine. Oh, I'm thrilled to get a rook off. What are you gonna do? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah, this just promotes. Okay, nice, calm game. I think. Um, Anything I want to look at before we start asking the computer? What was this move about? Oh, it was trying to support d4. Seems fine, I guess. That attack, yeah. I went in for this. Okay, yeah, so I feel like this bishop move must have been a mistake. Well, maybe they can get away with it by taking here first as an in-betweener. But if they try to recapture this way, it's real trouble. So I'm not sure which of those was the mistake. But I think they probably should have taken with the c pawn. And then I retake here, and there's some tension in the center, but nobody's immediately better from it, I don't think. I'm honestly not sure about knight here. It was a powerful threat, but like all it really accomplished was making their king move. I guess that's fine. The king was doing a lot of work. I wouldn't be surprised to find that this move is wrong, that there's something better here. Getting over here was cool. Yeah. Definitely taking the rook would have been wrong, so this is a kind of the best alternative. This move is probably also wrong in the computer's eyes, but I don't mind it. And I'm glad they didn't make me like prove I know my endgames, because I don't. Okay, let's see what the computer has to say. Not bad. 6 inaccuracies, but no mistakes. Okay. No significant mistakes. Yeah, okay, but like, what about the inaccuracies? We'll just maybe instead of learn from your mistakes, yeah, we'll learn from your mistakes. I was thinking maybe just step through the game and oh, I see. When you click on one, it just shows you what you should have done instead. So it doesn't like knight here, which is fair. I said that was one that it might disagree with. I should have just pinned the knight and then attacked it with a pawn. Ah, that makes the king move as well, I think. So like here, right. So here's the threat is to follow up here, I think. Because that piles up on the pinned piece in a way that a pawn could capture it. So you might be tempted to try something like this, but then you lose your kingside structure. And if let's say you do nothing, this, for example, surely this is the best move, right? Why not? Why is that bad? It's fine. Okay, I see. The point, I think, is that if I threaten to take this with a pawn, they can threaten to take my bishop with a pawn in exchange. And if I actually go in for it, I'm like not actually winning anything. I just sacrifice all my center control and don't even win material. Okay. So this maybe this is not as real a threat as I was thinking it is. So okay, I'm not sure why this bishop move is just generally good because it makes them do some. It develops my bishop with some kind of tempo, I guess. I don't know. I'm still not sure what the idea behind this move is. Knight here? What's wrong with here? It's a little harder to go anywhere from here, I guess. Is there like, is it worried about the threat of someday castling with an attack on the knight? Or is it just that like here is a cool place to be? Here, maybe. Maybe that's the idea. Okay, anyway. Next inaccuracy? So it doesn't like castles. It says you should protect that pawn right away. Why? So it says then plus 3.3, then after castles, and then black making a mistake, and then me finally... So there's something wrong with this. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't supposed to castle at all? It seems so cool to be castling. Oh, I guess one downside is that castling kingside gives up on castling queenside, and right now a queenside castle could come with check. Or at any rate, you know, an x-ray on the king or something. And so I shouldn't give up on that. But actually, as soon as you play this, it says, position's not that great. Like, okay, this is a great position. But it's not like that much better than what it thinks I would get for castling anyway. Well, it's still half a pawn. Huh. So there must be something that this is threatening that I don't really see, or some problem with castling. I don't know. Okay. It's a mystery. It doesn't like rook here. It says, why not just take a free pawn? Yeah, you're not wrong. I have the idea of this tactic, like taking the pawn with a discovery, pinning it, but this is just giving them a chance to defend the pawn. Yeah, that was an undefended piece that I could just take. Okay. Oh, right, this is the one that said was wrong, I think. That's a blunder. It doesn't like knight here. It says take the bishop. So I was definitely considering that. It gets the trade in. But it actually says their best move is to capture anyway, and I still get the trade. And I get my rook improved, right? So why is this better? It pulls the king farther forward, I guess? So you can develop the bishop with check? Okay. Oh, and pick up this pawn as well. I didn't see the importance of this square being lined up on this diagonal. A knight move here attracts the king to this square, where the bishop can punish him for being there. Very cool. Right, it doesn't like that. Really? Capture with a pawn. It gives me excellent center control, obviously. But so does the bishop here. I mean, pawn here is even better than a bishop there, right? Because then your bishop can do other stuff while your pawns control the center. But I was kind of scared about giving my opponent a majority over here. I'm definitely not experienced enough to know, like, whether this is a 3 versus 2 majority they could do something with versus not. I guess part of the idea is that it gives you a rook here, which is where the king is, maybe? Oh, it threatens this development as well, with check picking, perhaps, well, threatening the pawn. So it actually says they should play here. And we do this anyway. And we get a ton of space. And this gives the bishop an excellent place to survey the board from in several directions. Okay. What's next? It says, don't push this pawn, just take theirs. Yep, it's true. I was setting up to trade for that pawn, but it sure would be better to just take it, wouldn't it? Okay, you got me on that one. And after that, no blunders. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, second best is promote to a rook. Sure. Now... Oh, I have to learn from your mistakes to see the opening. That's right. So what was the name of the opening that we played? We played, we started with, yeah, e4, sure. And now we're in the Sicilian, like I said. Knight here is mainline. Pawn there, apparently also main. Although the knight is also fine. Okay. I developed the other knight. Nope, I didn't. It says knight c3 is not very popular, but is fine. It says d4 is what you play, like, all the time. So why, then, like... I was worried about my knight in the center becoming a liability eventually. Like, it's unsupported, I haven't gotten as much centered control with pawns as I would have liked. Really? H or A3? Why is that good? Oh, because this square is something my knights and bishop are coordinating on. I see. So I don't know. It seems like in this line I invested a bunch of effort into getting a knight here, and then the knight just has to go to this kind of mediocre square anyway. So I don't know. It doesn't like d6, but it's called the delayed Alapin. Alapin. Okay. I think thinks that's a blunder. Well, a big mistake anyway. Punished by pawn here. Now they played bishop here, which was bad, and I didn't like it. It says it's never occurred in top level play. Probably occurred many times on Lichess. This is kind of funny. We're not. I mean, I don't know. The sampling sizes are so small now that it doesn't really mean anything. But apparently, this position, despite being, according to Stockfish, clearly advantageous for white, winning, I assume, like top level play, has had far more losses for white than wins. Well, not far. It's like, you know, it's like 2 wins and 4 losses, right? Yeah, that's pretty bad. But okay, they played here, which it says yes, take. Definitely do not take this. Yeah, it loves this idea. Good. But what should they have done instead? After I got my pawn here, they're supposed to get a knight in to defend. Because right now I'm attacking this pawn. I thought they might do something like this. And I don't know, is this good? I've got my queen a half-open file, and I've isolated their d-pawn, so that seems actually pretty great. Okay. Anyway, I think that's enough poking around in the opening explorer and the analysis board. Let's do a puzzle or two to wrap things up. Check. Does that do anything? If takes, I'm... actually... Check here. I'd probably take with queen, because that lets me get the queens off, and then I can use these pawns to promote. What if I instead went here with the queen first? That's horrible. Is there something else I can do? I don't think so. Okay, I mean, I'm a sucker. I'll play the check. Now, I think I decided I want this. Because this queen is threatening a lot. She's threatening, like, I have a big material advantage, right? Not only is it 2 pawns, they're, like, connected passers. And this queen, suppose I took here, saying I don't want to trade queens. Now this queen can do a real number on me, so I'm pretty sure we have to do this. And now it should be very easy to convert. You can just push these pawns. Maybe you're supposed to get your king over. I don't know. But either way, it seems clearly winning for white. For black? Whatever team I was. I forget already. I was white, wasn't I? Anyway, what's the deal here? I mean, this is obviously something they can take, and then I have these pawns. But what am I supposed to do with them? I guess develop my king and get them moving that way so I can, like, takes, push would be, like, the line that appeals to me. Keeps the enemy king sidelined and lets the pawns start threatening the bishop. With here. It's hard to imagine anything else. I think we have to take here. And we don't want to push either pawn. So we put the king here. Okay, and then this. Seems like a pretty easy puzzle. But fine, thumbs up. Ooh, okay, so we're in our pawn's way here. This is cute, I think. So we start pushing this pawn. And the king can go chase it, but when he does, I get out of this blockading position with check. Now the king grabs this pawn, but I promote and pick up the rook. Okay, yeah, fair point. I do have to do something about these, but can I not just take here? You can't both defend the pawn and push it. Yeah, better grab that. Okay, so this... I don't love this puzzle because the key idea of this getting out with check never actually materialized. It was just like... I mean... There's only one move here that's not insane, right? And... I get that that's kind of how every puzzle is. It's just like there's different levels of what looks insane. Whereas I think like any move you can make here besides this one is just obviously losing. And there's the reason this move is good is because of moves black didn't play, I think. Like, yes, these are the best moves, even though all moves are losing. But I was thinking, okay, the black would kind of prefer to leave these pawns to fend for themselves. Because they're kind of tied down together. The king can't attack them with the rook here. Oh, really? No, yeah, rook moves here is actually... I'm surprised that this is still fine. Why is this so good? I guess you can still do the same thing. You didn't need that pawn, actually. So you can waste a move first if you want. It doesn't really matter. Okay. But I imagined this as the follow-up. And they can take the pawn or go here or hide, whatever. Stockfish is having trouble deciding. It thinks king here is best. But it's really, really bad for black. So that's why the computer didn't play this. It's much worse than just letting me pick up all the pawns. But it doesn't really explain why pushing the pawn is okay. Wait a minute, what? It says I'm plus 51. Then after this, it says, oh, you're plus a pawn. Are you kidding me? Oh, do I need to give you just like a tiny bit more depth here, or? Yeah, I do. Interesting. There's some horizon effect there, I guess, where it doesn't see quite deeply enough to see why this is horrible before it stops looking. Oh, mate in 51. Obviously. Anyway, so I think this is a bad puzzle. That's my opinion. I swear I get easier puzzles when I'm on camera. When I play off camera, I just so many puzzles I just like mess them up. And some of that is because I'm like paying less attention and not talking out loud about things, not thinking them through as carefully. But I feel like they're harder puzzles too. What about this? Check. King here, say. Grab the queen. Well, there would be something better than picking up the queen. I think it would be better to deliver checkmate. So if here, king takes is impossible. It leads to immediate mate. Therefore, the only... Oh, there's no other moves, right? King takes here is illegal. This is just mate in 2. Check, takes, mate? Yeah, it must be. That's fine. It's not a hard puzzle, is it? 1943. Well, Okay, sure. Calls this a sacrifice, huh? I mean, it definitely is. We're sacking the bishop. But I would kind of label this more as like a an attraction. We pull the king here so that we can checkmate him. I don't know. So bishop here, first of all, is that like... What's that doing that wasn't being done before? This bishop is under attack. These squares are now not under attack. Okay. This is not such an easy puzzle. I don't, maybe it is, but like the right idea is not immediately obvious to me like it was on the last several. We can obviously trade bishops. That's pretty forcing. They kind of have to take with queen. So I guess that's maybe got to be the idea. The queen is stuck here now, and something cool develops against her. What would that be, though? I guess there's stuff like pawn here, which doesn't really attack any pieces, but does discover this. But I don't have any support for that. What about this bishop? Takes, rook here? You can defend the bishop with a rook, though. Or just run away. Even here, maybe. Um, I guess maybe you could do something with this knight, discovering a defense of the bishop. Here. Here? I don't know. I don't see anywhere to go with him. Maybe here. Here? But this is all stuff that, like... Oh! A knight move not only discovers a defense of the bishop, but also an attack on this pawn. So what if we do this? The pawn is suddenly attacked twice and defended once. You could defend it with rook. How do they get another defender in? Only with this queen, right? And I... well, knight here, maybe? Knight can defend in a couple of ways. So I was wondering if maybe the point of this is to deflect the queen so that she can't get to the defense of this pawn. On the other hand, this... If I move a knight, I'm attacking this pawn, but I'm dropping this one, which seems pretty stupid. Because this pawn actually... Wait, this pawn's in trouble already, isn't it? It's attacked 3 times and defended twice? No, it's defended 3 times, both knights and the queen. Pawn here? If I could scare the queen away, the bishop would be hanging. Ah. And the only places she could go where she's still defending are here and here, which are both controlled by my pieces. So here... Suppose some in-betweener threatening my queen, I think I can just take. And then if they try another in-betweener, I just pick up the queen and now I can trade happily. I think this is pretty good. Really. Why? Huh. I don't know. Knight here? That also attacks the queen, sure. So, but what's wrong with this? Ah, she can get out with check. I see. And pick up my rook even. Ouch. Yeah. Okay, well that's why that's bad. This attacks the queen and doesn't create any weaknesses. And then I grab the bishop. Okay, good puzzle. That's going to do it for today, though. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.